What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm going to be back today with more Danmachi, and today we're going to be talking about the latest Record Buster. We haven't talked about Record Buster in a while, and a lot of it's just come down to the fact that it kind of fell into a routine for me. Now, this one I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've got a +4 Elfie over there, and I've got to get her to survive. So, let's jump in, let's talk about this, okay? Now, real talk here, the way we're going to do that is going to happen on turn 2. So I'm going to kind of introduce that when we get to it. For this first turn, nothing's really going to be all that unique or different. We're using Line for a 33% disengage charge. Remember, Reapplying doesn't really produce any damage for like the first 3 turns, so I don't need any like HP regen. Don't need any defensive buffs. By the time Haruhi gets in here, we'll be fine. So, let's go ahead and utilize that spotlight for now. We're going to go ahead and do all of our major buffs. I'm going to go ahead and do this skill here. The strength of target attack damage down 40%. It's not really that important, but getting the extra attack out does make a slight difference in the early game. We're also going to go ahead and do this buff skill here. Her third skill really doesn't do anything. Like, nothing that's really going to be important to us, at least not yet. Maybe late game, but that's about it. So we're going to do skill 2 for the buff. And she's actually here for a whole other reason. We'll get to that here in just a few turns. But for now, we're going to use her for the buff, and then we're going to go ahead and do her buff as well. So, let's get down to it. Basically, it's like a 2-1-2-1 build. We're going to get this out of the way, then we'll get to the big one, and that's next turn. Now, Elfie is +4. Taking her into difficulty 7 is a bit of a challenge. But this Ryu, skill 1, not skill 2, skill 1, does physical resist plus 50%. Remember, Filivis removes debuffs, not buffs. So any buff I put in place now will stay in place so long as I'm able to replicate it. And we're going to be able to replicate it, so we're pretty much in good shape. Now, that's the fun part. So here we go. We're going to do skill 1 with Ryu. Everybody else is going to go onto either the debuff or, in the case here, just the big single target attack. And, yeah. Let's go. Now, this Ryu, notice I've got 2 Ryus now, and they both have the same outfit. That's because I have the paid outfit on them. This Ryu, the Ryu that's staying in place, basically is going to have a really vital role early on, and then I'm just basically going to keep her around for a little bit of the damage she's going to produce. The one thing I haven't talked about here is what Filivis does. Now, you will notice she is down 50% on physical, but 65% on magic. She debuffs her own physical resistance, and that's nice. I'd like to utilize that, but I didn't spec into Hedon. I don't have Hedon, but at level 60, I got him for the CP. I didn't max him out. I didn't really need to. I probably will later on, but for the moment, I really haven't spec'd him out. So I'm going to be focusing on the magic more than the physical. And in my personal opinion, I think the magic team is a hardier team, though physical is preferred here. I think, for reasons I'll show you later on, magic is slightly hardier. Though, I cannot doubt what Hedon does. He's awesome. Wait till you see what this Filivis can do, though. It's pretty sweet as well. Now, because of that, we've kind of got dark resistance down 40%, magic resistance down 40%. That's very nice. Unfortunately, we are going to lose that for a few turns. Not the end of the world, but for a few turns. But we've really got to make sure that we keep the strength and magic 40 down on our units, because that's going to be really important. Same with dark attribute, but it's the same skill. Now, doesn't matter if you do strength and magic. They are both neutral. Just understand she's going to debuff her physical. So strength is better, but for me, once again, I'm fighting an uphill battle. It's a test team. Who knows what's going to happen? I really don't. I have not produced any numbers with this team yet. So let's jump in. Let's see. Now, Haruhime's here, so we're going to go ahead and do Dawn Wind. Remember, Dawn Wind is going to give us our buff replication, and we need that to keep everything we have in play at this point. Now, I believe it is, yeah. So Filivis' magic and magic and dark attribute damage are going to be gone after this turn. So I need to make sure that I rebuff those. Reason being, they're just 2-turn buffs. I'm sorry, they're 3-turn buffs, but I buffed them in turn 1. Everybody else's should be good. Yeah, we're good there. And we're good there. So I'm going to go ahead and just do her big single and her big single, which I've been doing, and then rebuff her. And then that basically means, because remember, Dawn Wind's big buff replication action doesn't actually take place until the turn after Dawn Wind. So that's why you see when we go back in there and we rebuff it, it's always when it says it's a turn 1. Because it's the extra action doesn't take place until the following turn. So we'll actually get Dawnwind's extra actions that it mentions here on turns 4, 5, and 6. That means on turn 6, we got to rebuff it. So for now, I can actually just go in here and replicate debuffs. Now, she is going to remove her debuffs, but she's not going to remove them on this turn. She's actually going to remove them at the beginning of turn 6. So I would like to keep these not just through this turn, but the next turn. So I'm going to have to do this on this turn. I've got to go ahead and use Blowing Wind here. Everybody else can just go ahead and do their big singles. That is a slight change for Filivis. Filivis does rebuff, so I'm going to do everybody's big single target attack on this turn and the next turn just to kind of, get the damage out here. If you don't do that, you're not producing, not playing it right. So big singles on 3, 4, with the exception of Filivis on 4, and 5, and then 6, we're going to go back into debuffing once again. Now, she's going to do her essay here. Unlike most of the other ones, she doesn't do her removal action on her essay. She waits two turns to do that, and you'll actually see it because I have the icons on. So, on this turn, I'm going to use Nightstorm. That's going to give us a bunch of buffs, and that basically is going to be replicated by Dawnwind, and everything's going to stay in place. As I said, everybody does their big single target attack here, and so we're golden. I'm not really worried at this juncture about debuffs falling off, because like I said, beginning of next turn, she's going to remove them anyway, so it really doesn't matter. There we go. Bam. 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 All right, so turn 6, everything is still in play there, and that's going to be a major factor in what I'm going to show you later on in this match. But she is going to go ahead and remove those debuffs here in a moment. So as long as it's not a fast skill, I should be able to get off any kind of debuff basically late game. So let's go ahead and do this now. I will need to rebuff Dawnwind, so we're going to do that. And her buff here, her attack here does strength and dark resist, strength magic and dark down 40%. So I'm gonna need to put that basically out there because it's not a fast skill. Reavis is gonna remove hers, and then Elfie will do her skill. I don't really need anything here because she doesn't do any debuffs, and her skill 3 really isn't that important. I can use it as a stopgap later on, but it's really not a massive issue. So I'm just gonna continue doing her single target attack. She's not going to get her buffs removed, so why deviate from what we know to be good? Now, let me actually rephrase this, because there's one thing that I always forget to do on this turn, and it's massively, massively important. Rather than doing Dawnwind on this turn, I think it's a little more important, frankly, to get out these 2 essays. These 2 essays are critical. Since neither one of these 2 units do a debuff, if I can go ahead and get these 2 essays off here, I'm going to get the 120% strength of magic out of the gate right away. Now, normally we would save that for a quad or a triple or whatever, but I think the double between these 2 is enough that it's going to be just fine. Getting this out here, in my opinion, I think, and I haven't done the math on it, but I think I get more damage out if I do it now. So, I'm going to do it now. Okay? So, double essay here, and we'll do the single target debuff here. Now, yes, that's an AoE attack, so the single target debuff isn't going to have any effect. So, let's just go. All right? Just double check, make sure everything's golden. Yep. So, here we go. Boom. Actually, I'm surprised. Her SA got... I'm sorry. I'm not surprised. It's exactly what I expected. Her SA did get off before the debuff removal, and that's going to be critical to what I'm going to show you here on turn 10. So let's keep going. All right. So now everybody's got strength and magic 120% and dark attribute damage 100%. But remember I said Dawnwind does the buff replication. Now, the nice part is, since Dawnwind isn't used up during an SA turn, I'm good. We're still 1 turn. So I don't need to worry about that. We're going to get the buff replication on this turn, and it's basically going to reset next turn. So we're golden. Because if we come down here, we're kind of in a tight spot, because dark attribute damage is only up for 1 more turn. But we're going to get the buff replication. It'll be 2 turns at the end of this turn. And then, on the following turn, we'll get it buffed yet again. So we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. That's not falling off. It looks scary. It looks terrifying. Not a big deal. Believe me. Trust me on that one. It's going to be okay. Everybody else, since we just did our debuffs and our buffs stay in place, could just go back to doing basically their big single target attack. Hers is skill 1, hers is skill 3, and here's the interesting factor, okay? 1 unit resist down 25%, that's nice, we did replace that. Strength and magic down 40%, I like that, let's replace. Dark attribute damage, notice what's missing here. No magic attack down 40%. That is going to be a factor only on these next few turns. You can kind of see what's happening here. Like, everything is kind of being set up for you. So, don't worry about it. We are going to be fine. We're not losing our buffs, and that debuff is only going to be an issue for a very short period of time. Okay, here we go. All right, so turn 8, I need to be cautious. I will need to do Blowing Wind. I'll need to make sure that that's absolutely golden. We're going to need to make sure that basically we're taking care of these debuffs, that the debuffs are getting replicated once again. There we go. And everybody's going to be doing their big single. I need to make sure that this is done because I need to get rid of the strength and magic. Or I got to get rid of the magic buff. I'm sorry, her strength buff. I said it right the first time. Her strength buff has to go. If it doesn't, we're going to be in a world of hurt. So that's going to be a big, massive issue here. Basically, any SA turn for 8 and 12, you got to remove those buffs. The only exception would be on, like, Otaro, where Otaro doesn't have a buff. You just kind of have to, like, grit your teeth and survive it. But on everybody else, you just, make sure you remove the strength, magic, or both buff in the case of Finn. And you'll be fine. Elfie took a little bit of extra damage, but it still isn't, world-ending kinds of things. So, Dawnwind's still good. Everybody else's buff's still good. We still have, dark attack attribute damage up 100%. And why is our... Okay, so she did debuff physical resist a little bit, but we got our physical resist 50%. So, well, Elfie has taken some damage. It's definitely not the end of the world. And once again, we're just going to do our big single target attacks here. Not a big deal. Next turn is the one where we start to kind of grit our teeth because we're going to need to reapply the debuffs, but that's next turn. That is literally a problem for next turn's me. All right. And I will need to pay attention to Dawnwind. So let's see. Dawnwind is down 1 turn, so I will need to reapply that. Pretty standard stuff. There's no magic or mystery to how that's going down. Dawnwind needs to get rebuffed when it's down to 1 turn. I already explained why. Now, we need to do the Strength and Magic debuff. If it doesn't get applied this turn, we're in a world of hurt. Here's the deal, though. Normally, I would go ahead and use her SA. The Magic Resist and Dark Resist down 60%. That's very, very, very nice. But here's the deal. Remember, the SAs go off before the removal. So it'd be kind of pointless for me to do that attack on this turn, and then for her to sit around and go, yeah, that wasn't a thing, bro. And then we're kind of in the water. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Strength and Magic down 40%. It's not a fast skill. It's not an SA. She's going to remove it, and it's immediately going to be reapplied. She's going to do single target. She's going to do the single target debuffing, and Haruhime is going to do Dawnwind. Here we go. And the debuffs are applied all over again. It's like planning. Yes. It's a thing. All right. Now, once again, there is something to be said for doing like a big triple attack here. But honestly, for as much damage as she does, I really don't need to worry about that. All I really need to do is use Elfie for her debuff here. That's going to be Magic and Dark Resist down 60%. I do need to make sure I do Blowing Wind on this turn. If I do not do Blowing Wind on this turn, that replication disappears. I mean, it's 1 turn, so I need to make sure that we do Blowing Wind and that we keep it replicated as much as possible. We need it to the end of the match. So that's another reason why we can't do a big triple or anything like that here. So we're really just, kind of utilizing our units to the best of their abilities. So here we go. It is a double attack, so don't expect insane damage, but still 1.4 out of her is not bad, especially being that she's only plus plus 4, and a 3.6 out of 3.6 out of Filivis is fantastic. Imagine what she would do with a quad. It's just despicable. Absolutely despicable. Boom. 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 And remember, Filivis is now completely built up. And we've got magic resist and dark resist down 60% on our opponent. So we're golden. We're pretty much as good as we're going to get. So remember I said the magic resist didn't really come into effect? It kind of doesn't. Like, this team just kind of makes it work in this fashion. So we'll need Dawnwind on the next turn. If I even needed to do that, we'll kind of assess that. I may not even need to do it. But all the debuffs are in play. Everybody's good to go. We can just do single target damage and then just basically spam SAs with Filivis. Now, once again, we need this attack. Strength of Magic has to go away on turn 12. Or, well, in her case, Strength. Has to go away in turn 12 or we're going to hate life. If that buff is there when she does her SA, we are not going to survive the SA. There we are. Even though Haruhime already took a bit of damage there. That was not nice, not pretty. Remember, Haruhime is in a bit of a pickle here. Because Haruhime does not have the physical resistance that everybody else has. That says Haruhime is pretty hardy. And I've got a fully ascended armament on her. So she did pretty well. It's interesting to see that a level 90 armament on a unit without that physical resistance did the same thing as a level 90 armament on the unit that is +1. So, shows the power of the physical resistance. So, I say +1. She's down +1. She's +4 versus Haruhime, who's max limit broken. Anyway, you get the basic concept. So from this point on, we're just doing damage. Dawnwind, I will need to replicate that, I do believe. Actually, do I need to? I actually don't need to. Our buffs are still going to be in play through the end of the match, so actually I don't need to do that. I can just go ahead and do Blowing Wind, continue doing some damage, and not worry about the buff replication. Everything's going to be fine. So we're just going to basically do that. I'm going to go ahead and do an SA here with Filivis, and I'll get one more SA before the end of the match. And that be that. Boom, 2.5 mil. And that's kind of, one of those situations where I say where, getting, thank you, girl. Getting multiple SAs with one unit that does a lot of damage sometimes is better than, doing multiple SAs with units that have, AoE damage on a Record Buster opponent. Sometimes that just doesn't work out. So I'm going to go and do SA one more time. We're going to do everybody's big attack and go from there. Pretty straightforward stuff. Not the end of the world at all. Boom. 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 And there we go. So now we don't have any more SA gauge charge. We're just going to jump back in here. And do skill 3. And let's see what kind of numbers we get. We should get full... I was literally about to say we should get full survival bonus, but I think the survival bonus is still the same no matter what, because we still got up to... Did we get 1.2 billion? Damn! Let me explain why that is not expected. Okay? Number 1, Elfie's +4, not max limit broken. Number 2, he's level 60, not max limit broken. He is only 15% dark resistance. This team's nutty. This team's crazy. So, yeah, very happy with that. I was not expecting numbers like that. I bet with a bit more RNG and with Elfie at max limit break, we might be able to break a top 50 score. Now, I don't know how that's going to pan out, because obviously, people could be setting scores in this very early game still. This is like Friday evening. But I'm extremely happy with that. Well, know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, comment, share, and catch you all in the next one. Don't discount those +4s, turns out. Who knew?